One little trick I use for tree planting, this is in a context where it's a pretty wild area. Not wild like off in the wild lands, but uncultivated, and it's right off the road, but nobody's really done anything here for a very long time. And I did some clearing in the fall and winter and got a ton of daylilies. But anyway, I wanted to plant some trees in here. If you ever find yourself in a position like this, where I often find myself, with a bunch of trees in your hand, trying to plant them in some crazy context, one thing that I like to do is I look out for little bumps in the landscape. Often you'll see a groundhog hole like this, and then right next to it, there'll be all the pile that they, all the dirt that they excavated out. All that hole, they put all the dirt right here, and it's a big mound for this shellbark hickory. The shellbark hickory root on this thing was probably 18 inches long taproot, and trying to find an 18-inch place to dig an 18-inch hole in this kind of ground is really not fun to do unless you find these natural little spots. And the groundhogs really helped me out here quite a bit. I think this would be probably 10 times harder. It'd take me way longer to plant here without their help. And if you're interested in planting trees out in wild areas or public lands, and you don't want to necessarily take in a big shovel or make a big scene out of it, you're guerrilla planting or just trying to increase local diversity, I think this is a really promising way of doing it, is finding these little mounds that are made by animals, because these are all, because they don't move big rocks, so they just move all the fine soil, and you've immediately got your planting ready. So I'll check back on these a little bit later. This is just next to the road, and that brown field is the new orchard site that I'm working on. So that area is going to be pretty cultivated, orderly-ish rows of orchard. And this spot that I'm in now is going to be more inspired by the folks that I was able to spend time with down in Mexico, a Zapotec family who they farm in the same way that they have farmed for thousands of years. The Milpa agriculture system. So this is what I'm kind of trying to imitate here. I've been clearing all the species that we don't want in there, make them into brush piles. You can see the birds in there enjoying that protection. And I leave things. I found some elderberries, I found some apples, walnuts, all kinds of stuff got left behind, and then I'll work with those. Here's that apple leafing out that's growing in a hazelnut. It's kind of fun. And so I'll keep pushing farther north. There's some pear trees flowering up there, a couple apple trees, and I'll be leaving all the stuff that I like and planting in other stuff as I go. Some of these piles will stay as brush piles, some of them will get burned in the way that they do it in the Milpa system. Pretty much all of it would be burned, and a lot of biochar would be left, and then it would be turned into a cultivated food forest. So that's what I'm trying to do here, and there's really too many rocks to make it look anything like this, even if I wanted to, but I like the idea of having cultivated vegetable fields down there, sort of cultivated orchard here, and then somewhat of a semi-managed food forest kind of deal here.